Hi, I'm Mike Bruno, and we are here today on the Boyk Brief, and we're pleased to welcome Neil Neukam, who's the Executive Vice President and General Manager of our Toledo Walleye hockey team. Welcome, Neil.
Hi, Mike. Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, we feel this is very timely because we have a first place hockey team, and they're looking at the Kelly Cup playoffs. And so there's a buzz going on, not just downtown, but throughout Northwest Ohio. Tell us a little bit about this year's team and hopes and dreams and expectations.
Absolutely. Yes. You're right on. Playoffs will start this Friday. First two home games are Friday night and Saturday night. So that's the 22nd and 23rd. But obviously a culmination of the season that the regular season that we just had and ended. What a great year for the Walleye. You know, if you haven't been back down to Huntington Center yet for whatever reasons, coming out of the pandemic, there was a little bit of maybe some apprehension as to how our community would respond to that. Would we see the influx of fans coming back to the arena? And they have shown up in droves. When we've used that moniker back at full strength this year, they truly are. They've been back at full strength. The fan base, the region, the community, everybody's been behind the Walleye all season long. I pinch myself to realize and see the response that we've seen. So it definitely has an effect, I think. I think if you ask any coach and you ask any player associated with the team, they love the support. They love the fan base that comes out, and led them to a great regular season. And that recognizes really the best team during the regular season. In this case, this year, based upon winning percentage. So the team had a great season. We're hoping it's going to continue throughout the Kelly Cup playoffs. Again, those start this weekend, and if all goes as well and as the way we would hope, we're going to be hoisting a Kelly Cup championship, hopefully come by mid-June.
Well, you know, Toledo's crazy for hockey. I mean, historically, that's been true. But when you give us a winner and you look at that fan base, I read somewhere that you averaged over 7,300 per night in attendance this year.
Yes, this past season, just a shade over 7,300, as you referenced. The previous year, before pandemic, we were up over a little over 7,400. So we didn't really miss a beat, Mike. I mean, it's been great. And when you talk about an arena whose capacity in terms of seating is 7,431, you can figure out the math. We're pretty much playing at nearly full capacity almost on every night.
Yeah. I saw that the Oakland A's had less than 4,000 the other night. Their game, a Major League Baseball team. So comparisons, I think, are important for a small market like we are. It just shows you that your team is really supported by this community. That's great. The Kelly Cup. I read also that you're going to be playing 7-game series, like a Sweet 16 format, but 7-game series.
Yeah, the playoffs are functioned and set up in a way very similar, to the NHL, where you play a best-of-7 series. So it is 4 rounds, a 4-round series. So you have to win 4 rounds to get the Kelly Cup in that regard. So the first 2 rounds are in division. So hence, this weekend or this first round, we will play Cincinnati, who's in our division. And then the second round, we'll play, knock on wood, we continue to advance to the second round. We would end up playing the winner between Fort Wayne and then Wheeling. And if you're a hockey fan in Toledo, you know the long history and the rivalry between Toledo and Fort Wayne that we always look forward to. So the first 2 rounds in division, and then we get out of our division when you come to the third round and then a possible Kelly Cup.
Yeah, and the Comets are defending champs, right?
They are the defending champs, and based on perhaps the fan you talk to, they might put an asterisk next to the to the defending champs, only because they didn't necessarily play the same amount of games in the schedule that some of the other clubs played last year who did play during the pandemic.
I see.
So, end of the day, though, regardless of how you look at it, you got to give them credit. They played, they won the games they needed to win. They played the cards that were dealt to them, and they did it, and they won. So in that regards, they are the Kelly Cup champions from last year.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be sweet though to knock them off in the second round?
It's always sweet. We've always had a kind of a bittersweet relationship on the hockey side with Fort Wayne, but the folks over there who operate and run the team, they've been doing it for 70 years. They have a long history there in Fort Wayne with hockey. They do a great job over there. They draw great crowds. A lot of their fan base is probably very similar and rabid about the Comets, just as ours are with the Walleye. So you can't fault them for what they've been able to do and succeed over the years, but it is nice to be able to win those games against Fort Wayne. There's no doubt about that.
So I saw that the rosters are all set for the playoffs, and some interesting aspects of the roster. You can protect players that really aren't even on the team right now that may be playing in the American Hockey League, but could be available throughout the playoffs. Did I read that right?
Yes, you did, Mike. Basically, the players that you might be referencing, trying off the top of my head, like a Josh Dickinson, a Marcus Vela, a Blake Hillman. Those are guys that ultimately started their seasons here in Toledo. So they were under a Toledo Walleye contract based upon, their ability. There's no doubt about that. And then also based upon maybe some luck here and there relative to the COVID and protocols that the AHL and the ECHL have had to deal with this year, probably opened the doors for some players across the whole league to be able to play up at the next level. But at the end of the day, those guys also have the skill to play at that level. And so, yes, to answer your question, at the end of the season, when the AHL ends or those respective teams end their season, those players are still, quote unquote, our property when it comes to the ECHL. So those guys do have the opportunity, if they so elect, to want to come back to play in Toledo. I can tell you the feedback I hear from Coach Watson and other coaches with the Walleye. There's a lot of those guys that are eager to want to come back to Toledo. They're eager, kind of based upon what we just said, the fan base here and the support. They love playing in front of crowds that, when you're talking about capacity crowds almost day in and day out, they want to be a part of that environment.
Sure. Well, I'm going to throw some names out at you, and you can describe TJ Hensick, our captain. What kind of player is TJ?
He is well, number one, he's a true professional. Here's a guy that he depending on how you look at it, he made it to the highest level, the National Hockey League. There's no other higher level of pro hockey in the world. So to be able to make it that far, and he played 112 games at that level, that definitely, in my mind, shows you that he is a professional. To be able to get to that level, he's just a good person, a family type of guy. You love seeing him at the rink where he brings his kids. His one son in particular, who comes out on the ice with him at times and skates with him, and one of those guys. He's doing it for the love of the game, to be honest with you too. It's one of those. Nobody at the ECHL level is earning the dollars to all of a sudden become retire from. I didn't retire from playing ECHL hockey. If they retired, it's because they got to a certain age, not because they got to a certain financial level of playing in this league. This league is not about that. They're truly playing a guy like TJ Hensick. Now, on the flip side, you got a guy who might be completely opposite in terms of his age, who is playing to develop his skills and to be able to hopefully get to that next level. TJ already has the skills. He's playing and continues to play. And I think if you asked him, he wanted to play at least another season. So his son got a chance to watch him play too. And at that age, his son probably doesn't even realize if it's a difference between the NHL, the ECHL, or whatever league it is. All he knows is his dad's out there wearing a Walleye jersey and playing hockey. And that's what matters.
Yeah. We've got one of the top defensemen, Randy Gazzola.
Randy's been great. He's just another classy guy. He ended up in Fort Wayne last year, speaking of the Comets. When we chose not to play because of restrictions that were put upon us, and really the arena in terms of attendance. Dan Watson wanted to give every guy on that roster an opportunity and wanted to help those guys to be able to go find another place to play last season. So as much as it pained us to necessarily see Randy go to Fort Wayne and then celebrate with the Kelly Cup, as we just mentioned, it was a right thing. It was a right thing to be able to help him continue to play and develop as a player. So he played there last year. He wanted to come back to Toledo, when the season was going to, we knew we were going to play. Same with Brandon Hawkins, who has had a lights out season this year. But Randy, just a really good guy. Second team all ECHL this year. Very solid season for us, and just overall just a good person.
And we've got Billy Christopoulos in the net.
Boy, he's been lights out, hasn't he? I mean, last year, all rookie team, just had a wonderful season in the goal, and then to be able to have him come back and be with us majority of the season. He's gotten a cup of coffee a few times to go play up at the AHL level, and then luckily for us, maybe not for him as much, but luckily for us, we were able to have him come back to Toledo. But just a good person. If you don't know his background, he was a student at the Air Force Academy and has the military background, and just a good person. But we're so lucky to have him and have him back and here for the playoffs. And just definitely, I think the guys in front of him love to play for him. You look at the goalie; he's almost similar to like that quarterback. And so he's obviously a very, very important position on the ice, and guys love playing with him.
And Dan Watson, how would you describe his coaching style?
Dan is, I reflect on Dan for a moment, and he's been around Toledo hockey going back to the Storm days. People tend to forget he was a player at one point too, and but Dan is very meticulous, I believe, is a good word to describe him. He's a student of the game. He obviously loves the game of hockey. He studies it. He's great with the video. I think I would look at him as a player's coach. He played the game, but he's very respectful of the players and understands things that they need and the balance in their life as well. This gets to be a very long, grinding season. I mean, I think sometimes people forget or they don't maybe remember. I mean, the hockey season started back in October, and there's a potential that you could play all the way through mid-June. So I understand it's not the rigmarole of, say, Major League Baseball, where you're playing day in and day out, but at the same time you're playing. It's a lengthy amount of time, and when you look at our schedule, you might be playing games where you're playing 3 games in 4 days. You might be playing 4 games in 5 days, and the sport of hockey is just not it. It's not an easy sport. It's a very physical sport. And, I always joke and laugh about how there's days I feel like I can't even walk straight, and these guys are out there skating forwards and backwards and getting slammed into the, dasher boards and everything else that happens. It's very physical. And these guys get a wear and tear on them throughout the season. But Dan does a great job of balancing that and understanding their needs. But he's been lights out. I mean, we've been so fortunate and so happy to have him here in Toledo.
So how would you describe the Huntington Center, or the Bank Tank, as it is sometimes called, as compared to some of the other arenas around the league?
From that perspective, I would put the Huntington Center right up there towards the top, if not at the top. Great venue, opened in 2009. It's top notch. I mean, the players love it. The amenities for the players is wonderful. I could talk all day about the fan base, but in terms of being able to come and watch a game and enjoy a game, there's a lot of allegiance that a lot of folks and fans of ours had to the sports arena. And I understand. When I was in college, I actually spent an entire season there as an intern at the sports arena. It was a great place to watch a game, mind you. But at the same time, the amenities weren't there. On any given night when you might have a few thousand or 5,000 people at a game, that need to want to go eat or drink or go to the bathroom or whatever, it can be tough to get around. And, when we built the Huntington Center, that was key to be sure that, in a modern building, you had the modern amenities, and it's great. And I think people around the league notice it. I've had peers of mine who will come to Toledo because they want to see that walleye experience. They want to see the Huntington Center. They just want to take it all in. And I think one of my favorite comments that were ever made to me is that we had one of my colleagues from another team who came in and were walking the concourse. And, sometimes I think we take it for granted, but I'm walking the concourse and these fans are just walking around and they're just so into the game. And he just leans into me. He goes, "Neil," he goes, "this is absolutely bizarre." He goes, "This is crazy to me." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Everybody is walking around with like a walleye jersey or a walleye shirt or something with walleye." He goes, "You see this at NHL venues. You don't see this at our venues." And it's like, you kind of like, well, I guess I take it for granted because this is what I see every night, and how those fans just really get into it and support the club.
Yeah, it's like we've won the trifecta this year. We got the fans, we got the team, and we've got the arena. And so we're expecting some big things. The organization has been recognized recently. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was so what's great about that award, we just got designated. It was the forgive me, I'm probably butchering it here. It was the Hockey Operations Department of the Year award. And so that is a little bit kind of a different award. This is the first time they've actually recognized a club. In that sense, it's all about Mike recognizing the operations, the hockey operations, meaning not just the locker room, but everything kind of around the locker room. There's a whole nother group of folks down there beyond just Dan Watson and his coaching staff. There's a whole support team down there. There's it would be too long to name everybody, but the strength and conditioning coach, the equipment manager, to the team doctor, to a team psychologist, our massage therapist, a chiropractor. There's a lot of people down there. It's like its own little city where you get this population of people that really kind of make it happen. And that was an award that just got designated to the club, which really what makes that award even nice too, because that is voted upon by coaches around the league. So when you're Dan Watson and you look at, that recognition for not just your locker room in terms of your staff, but the rest of everybody else who puts it together, and being recognized by your peers and coaches, that really is meaningful. I think it's not just, anybody, it's the other coaches who see that when they come to Toledo. But at the same time, we've also been recognized a number of times now as the really kind of the overall award for the award of excellence is what the league calls it. That award will not get designated yet this year. It will be probably more in June, but we had won that award, I think 5 out of the last 9 years. And that really recognizes the front office and the efforts that the organization makes. And that's a testament to everybody that's in the front office that really gives their heart and soul to the team, the experience, and to our fan base and everybody else of that nature. But hopefully we'll win that award too. So we'll have to wait there for a little bit before that's announced.
And I know you've gotten some recognition over the years too, individually. Tell us a little bit about your background, how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, I guess I can say I'm a native of Toledo. I've been here since '84, and went to school here, and then basically always had an interest in wanting to work in sports, and got to a point where when I was in college, my last opportunity to kind of do an internship or volunteer my time, however you want to look at it, was with the Mud Hens, the baseball side of what we do. And started there in '93. Not necessarily the script I would have expected, Mike, to be honest with you. I think minor league sports back in those days, I think, was always viewed as kind of a stepping stone to perhaps the major league level or to that next level up. And, I was out there for a while, right during that time in the late '90s, early 2000s, when there was this big influx of new ballparks being built across the country. and we were seeing the success they were having in individual markets. And that's when, conversations were starting about fifth, third field, and us being involved in that. And for me, it was like I saw, like I said, seen the success in other markets, and I was like, I got to be a part of this. I love to be a part of it, and did that, and was part of that team that helped build fifth, third field and get that open, and then that was in 2002. And then probably, maybe 6-7 years later, I started getting that itch of maybe it's time to go do something else. And then that's when the conversation went to about building a new arena and maybe bringing hockey to downtown. So all that being said, I was like, well, I got to be a part of that too, right? I mean, how many people get to be a part of a new ballpark and a new arena? Probably not very many. And it was great, to be able to be a part of that process and then help bring hockey back. Went on hiatus for a couple years where it was dark, and we were able to bring it back in 2009. Some lean years, quite honestly. Those first few years, we, I think we were trying to get our feet underneath us and understand the game and just the experience of hockey and everything else. And Nick Vitucci at the time, who was previously was a Storm head coach and a ECHL Hall of Fame goalie. He helped kind of bridge that gap between the sports arena and Huntington Center. And then we brought in Derek Lalone, who's now with the Tampa Bay Lightning. And Derek really, you got to give him credit. He was really the person, I think, that really started to change that culture in the locker room. And ever since that time, it's really been lights out. It's been a lot of fun. I don't take it for granted at all. It's just great to be able to go to this Huntington Center and just see the support of the club. And it's been a lot of fun. Again, not necessarily the script I would have written or thought I would have written back in the day, but no regrets. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, you're doing great things, and we really are proud of the product that's being put on the ice this year. Can you get tickets for Friday's game still, or is it sold out?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. We are looking at probably making a run to sell out Friday and Saturday, which goes back again to the support. I mean, very seldom do you see that happen in the first round of the ECHL playoffs. So to answer your question, there are tickets available still for Friday. Saturday, there are still, as of now. But if you've watched Saturday night games for the last 3 to 4 seasons in which we actually played hockey without a pandemic, every Saturday night game is sold out for, I think it's been like at least the last 4 seasons. So if that's any indication, Saturday could end up selling out, but I think there's a chance we could sell out both.
Yeah. And then the series shifts to Cincinnati for the next couple of games.
Yeah. The next 2 then after that are definitely in Cincinnati. Game 5 would be in Cincinnati if need to play, and then game 6 and 7, if necessary, would be back in Toledo.
Okay. Well, I have a favor to ask of you. I'm hoping there are a couple of roster spots still open for the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have a couple candidates, and you might want to talk to Coach Watson. But Greg, if you could help us out. Here they are.
Oh,
I've got a couple grandsons who
nice.
the one on the left is 4 years old, 45 pounds, dripping wet. And the one on the right is 6 years old, and he's playing for the Muskies up there in Grosse Pointe.
That's awesome.
Hopefully you can find some spots on the roster, even if they're at the very end of the bench. I understand you got to learn, but these Bruno boys are tough little kids. Okay.
Well, Mike, I for a moment I thought you were trying to petition for yourself, and I was like, well, you're going old school with the no helmet look and everything else. I don't know if the league would allow you to play, but you know what? Those 2 youngsters there, they look like they're ready to go, though. The one there, he was all in his hockey stance. He's ready to play.
Yeah, it's fun. I gotta deliver the younger one up there for 5:30 practice. We're keeping him down our way for a few days this week, but
well, I hope you'll find there's an opportunity maybe in the schedule somewhere during the playoffs that you might be able to come out and maybe they can be with you and come out and enjoy a game.
Yeah, they've already been to the Red Wings up their way, so
nice.
They're enjoying professional hockey as well as the amateur.
Good.
Hey, Neil, I thank you for your time. Again, great job you're doing with the Walleye, and best of luck for you in the playoffs.
Mike, thank you. Thanks for the time. Thanks for having me on today. Very, very much appreciated. Thank you so much.